in the Prestige format series. The artwork in this title was done by Paul Johnson. It was, if I remember properly, John Bolton was the artist on the first book. It has slipped my mind. Charles Vess, I believe, was in the third book. And then we have Paul Johnson in the fourth book. And I'm sorry, but the second book has slipped my mind. Anyway, this is the Books of Magic by Neil Gaiman. And it tells the story of Tim Hunter. And Tim Hunter is a 12-year-old boy in England who has the possibility to be the greatest magician that ever lived. And when I say magician, I don't mean David Copperfield, I mean more John Constantine. So he's got the opportunity to be the greatest magician that ever lived, but he's going to have to go on this journey. And you've got the Phantom Stranger, John Constantine, Dr. Occult, and Mr. E, who are going to guide him through these 4 books. The Phantom Stranger is a mystery. It's been hinted strongly that he is Judas Iscariot in DC lore, but it's not really sure. You're not really sure. It's shown that he can't enter the gates of heaven, but the stranger seems to be everywhere else. So you've got that. The second book, he's shown the present. So now we've moved from the history of the DC universe and the magic to the present. And his host, of course, in that second issue is John Constantine. And Constantine shows him the reality of things, because the story to me about John Constantine has always been that he's a dirty player, but at the same time, he doesn't really pull any punches. So if he shows you information, he's going to show you the good and the bad, and he's going to show you why it's bad. So he gives Tim a sobering look at what the current state of the DCU at that time was. Okay, the third book takes Tim Hunter and Dr. Occult to Fairyland and a bunch of the other mystical lands that reside within the DC universe. And it gives him a chance to meet all of these important, I wouldn't say literary characters, but important characters in the world of fairy, in the world of magic, the world of Camelot, things like that. And it teaches them, it teaches Tim how magic has not really changed over the years, but how the usages of magic have changed. And the last book is, his guide is Dr. E, or Mr. E, for Enigma. And I don't think I have to spoil this, but let's just say that one of these characters is out to kill Tim to make sure that he never becomes possibly the most powerful magician that there ever was. And I've mentioned 3 characters that are really well known in the DCU, but how often do you hear about Mr. E? So this is the book where Mr. E is his guide. Things take a turn for the upside down. I'm not going to say turn for the worse or for the better. But at the beginning of the book, in book 1, Neil Gaiman has this 4 set of magicians to ask Tim Hunter if he wants to become a magician. And they said, at the end of this journey, we're going to ask you if you choose magic. And you have a right to either say yes or no. And all I'll say is, there's been more Tim Hunter stories. Okay, so that's not the end of Tim Hunter's story. Now, where things get very interesting, I would say. Tim Hunter bears a striking resemblance to another magical character with first name Harry. But here's the thing about that. Neil Gaiman created Tim Hunter 8 years before J.K. Rowling created Harry. So a lot of people have cried foul and said, oh, they're derivative of one another. if anybody is derivative of anybody else, it would have to be Harry Potter being derivative of Tim Hunter. And if you really think about it, you have two young boys, both in glasses, both, bespectacled, not huge physical specimens. Tim is learning in the real world and through the metaphysical world, whereas Harry Potter learned through school. But there are a lot of striking similarities. I'm not here to ignite that war again. It doesn't appear that Neil Gaiman is litigious about this, and it does not appear that J.K. Rowling is litigious about it either. So who am I to be litigious? Who am I to stir something up where there is apparently no feud? Both characters have their merits. Both characters have their weaknesses. But this shows Tim at his very beginning. It shows him learning about all of these magical properties, learning about the history and how magic has played a massive role in the DCU. Okay, and I can tell you that simply by saying that magic is one of the few things that can hurt Superman. You know, if you have a magical sword and it has been enchanted, it can hurt Superman, whereas most other things cannot. So that tells you right there how big of a factor magic is in this universe and in this reality. So let me see if I can find a couple of pages just to show you what the artwork looks like. Now, like I said, this is by Paul Johnson, and each book had a different artist. Okay, so each book really had a different look. Each book really had a distinct look to it. Let you see some of this artwork. You know, it goes from being almost photorealistically detailed, like Alex Ross, and then it goes to something abstract, kind of like that picture of Mr. E and Tim Hunter. But it's really a neat and fun exploration of the DCU in the late 80s and early 90s, when Sandman was just getting started, and a bunch of these other, DC Vertigo titles were really getting off their feet and starting to soar. So if you like that sort of thing, check out the Books of Magic by Neil Gaiman and et al. And I hope you guys really enjoy it, because I really enjoyed it. Now that I have all 4 issues together, I've read them digitally, but I'm going to go back and reread this whole series in one fell swoop with all 4 issues. And hopefully I'll enjoy it even better in physical format. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope y'all are having a great Monday night, and we'll catch you in the next video. By the way, if you haven't liked and subscribed, please do so. It helps the channel, it helps it grow, it helps me know what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong, how I can bring you guys more content that you actually want to see so that I get more clicks and build this community. Because like I said before, I want to build a community. I don't want to build a Facebook channel. I don't want to build anything like that. I want to build something where we can sit here and talk about these books that we love. So anyway, guys, if you hadn't liked and subscribed, please do that, and we'll catch you next time.